So let's start with this concept of early and intentional, right? We saw earlier what happens to kids when they fall behind in first grade. They rarely catch up. But why? Well, it's because they fall into this cycle, right? Why do kids fall further and further behind? Well, when they experience difficulty in the early grades, maybe they have difficulty blending those sounds together and sounding out words. That leads to difficulty in decoding words and phrases and sentences, which leads to lack of fluency. And when kids aren't fluent readers and reading is laborious and difficult, they tend to avoid it, right? Because kids don't want to do things that are hard for them and where they feel unsuccessful. So they get less and less reading practice. And because they're not reading as widely and as deeply, they don't have that vocabulary growth. They have limited academic language and content knowledge. And so because of all of those factors, they don't have great reading comprehension, right? And when you don't understand what you're reading, reading becomes a pretty pointless task. So there's not a lot of motivation to keep going. And so we call this the self-perpetuating cycle of reading difficulties. And so it's really important because we don't want to wait to intervene after kids start to struggle, because that cycle of difficulties has then already begun. Prevention of reading difficulties is always preferable to intervention later on. It doesn't mean that we don't intervene later if we need to, but if we can avoid that cycle and prevent reading difficulties before they start, has a much better outcome.